I'm Don B. Welch, and you're watching Studio Q with Quencie.
Studio Q show, now you know.
I am sitting here with Don B. Welch extraordinaire. And when I say extraordinaire, I mean playwright, I mean author, I mean director, I mean he has a film going to be premiering on TV One this Easter Sunday. I'm so excited, which was one of the many reasons I wanted to sit down with him. He welcomed us into his wonderful home. Don B. Welch, thank you so much for being on Studio Q. We so appreciate you.
Studio Q. Listen, I appreciate it. You guys have interviewed me before, but never to this level.
I know!
I'm like, yo, have I arrived now? No,
we've arrived.
No, I thank you. I've been watching you guys for a long time, and I know we get some things on the red carpet. And I was like, they ain't never did no full interview on me. I ain't that big yet.
Oh no,
but it's cool because I things happen when they're supposed to, and I just really appreciate this time. So I'm glad that you guys came.
I mean, Don, we have gotten a chance to come and I think we covered your whole divorce.
Yeah, you did. Sure did. Yep, you did.
You know, and I remember, rest in peace to Will Smith's father, interviewing him about you. Well, you looking very dapper today, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I decided to take a shower today since it was Donald's big night. I had to clean up a little bit.
Clean up very, very well.
Well, thank you.
So what brought you out to support Don? Why is it so important that you came out and got all dapper?
The guy's doing such great work. I'd like to give him all the support that I can.
Yeah, that was my buddy. Actually, I was home in Philadelphia. We kind of knew that he was really ill, and we kind of knew, but we didn't know. Of course, you never know when God's going to call you home. Right. But I was actually in Philly because my mom has been sick. She's better now. Mm-hmm. But I actually was there, and he passed while I was there. So I didn't have to fly back to LA and then fly back to Philadelphia. I was already there, so I was able to be at the services and at the repast. And every now and then it will hit me that he's not here because he was someone who really believed in me from the beginning of me doing things in Philadelphia, and bringing the family and getting Will involved, and my brother actually, my younger brother, was more closer to Will and to Will's dad and brother than I was, because I was already getting ready to leave. I'm only a couple of days older than Will. We won't get into that. Don't ask me how old I am. We're not doing that. But anyway, I guess if Will's getting older, people gonna find out, damn, how old is he? But anyway, the Smith family has been very supportive. And Will, man, his dad, that was one of my confidants, one of my friends, and you miss the person that you can pick up the phone and just call, but you also realize that you treasure the time you did have, and so I do.
Because he said, I've been knowing Don for 25 years.
Our family, Will grew up right across from us, but the back of our family home, if you were in our back patio porch, you can look across and see where the house was that Will grew up and spent a lot of time there. So we've known each other for years.
Is that how? Because you were neighbors?
Yes. And his father owned a ice company, which is also right there, called Rack Ice. Oh, and he that was his business. He was an engineer also, but that was his business. So they were there for years. I remember when just before I was going away to college and things, Will was going around doing house parties in the neighborhood, rapping, and Jazzy Jeff was like the DJ, and they were starting out.
Having such a big movie star friend, when did you know to ask for help and to do it by yourself?
Well, the interesting thing is I never went to them for anything. What happened was back in the 90s, back in, I think it was like 92 or 93, I was giving my brother an anniversary party, and I lived on an area called Rittenhouse Square, which was downtown Philly, and I lived on the 10th or 12th floor, and on the roof that you could have parties. So I threw him a party, and so both Wills, Will and his first wife came, and because I always tell Trey, you were 4 months when I met you, really. And so and actually it was the day that Whitney and Bobby got married, because I was invited to Whitney and Bobby's wedding through LaWanda Page, because Sissy had invited LaWanda Page. So LaWanda said, well, I'm not going to be on the East Coast. You just go. I said, yes, I am. Then I saw it was the same day as my birthday. I was like, I would drop this anniversary and go to this, but I didn't. So Will just came to the party instead of going to the wedding. And so we got to really talking about things, and he was like, well, you got to come out to LA sometime. And then I think it was the last year of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, his dad came around the house one day and said, listen, I think Will has a role for you on the show. And I'm like, are you really, for real?
It was a snowstorm.
It was
snowing.
It was, wait a minute, it was 30-something inches of snow in Philly.
Yeah.
And the runways were closed. So I was like, oh my God. So I'm thinking, so Will flew me out, but we couldn't get out. So then the day that we were supposed to leave, they opened up one runway. And so I flew into Los Angeles, and I got off the plane. There was a sign, Mr. Dawnn Welch. I'm like, yeah, of course you would be here for me. Right. And then they drove me right to Burbank to NBC Studios. And when I walked on the lot and into the building, I asked somebody who was walking down the hall, where was Will Smith's dressing room, and they said, oh, it's down this way. So when I went in, he wasn't there, and all of a sudden on the speaker I heard someone say, Dawnn Welch come to studio, so whatever. And when I went there, the whole cast was on stage with their scripts. Will handed my script and said, turn to page 52, you're Detective Frank Sims. And I'm like, okay, hey everybody. And so that was the beginning of him pulling me into that. At the time, he was thinking I was doing more acting, but I was still writing. And I would say 20-some years later, he is still very much a part of my life. He has been my lifeline. He said, whenever you're ready to move into television and film, just move on out. So I was really doing really well in Philly, but it was lateral moves. Right. I wasn't doing a whole lot of what I'm doing now. You couldn't grow but so much. So I decided in 2000 to move at his urging, and I came out here, and he opened up his heart, his doors, everything to me. Nice. and turned me on to a lot of people. He told me, he said, you're already doing well. What you need behind you is some muscle. So I never rested on that, though. Right. I still knew what I had to do on my own, because I was like, I'm my own man, but somebody supporting you from their heart. Yeah. And not wanting anything back but to see you succeed.
I know, that's rare.
And very rare. I can tell you some stories. You better do part 2 or 3. But what I'm saying is that, and to be that huge of, and I wasn't the only one that he would do things like this for. I wasn't the only one. I think I was one of the only ones who pursued it enough to get on my own feet that he could still say, 27 years later, I'm very proud what Donn's doing. Like, he heard about the TV one day, and he was like, yo, that's big. No, that's not his word. Yo, that's huge. So, but I'm not going to tell you I haven't asked to help. Once you know you can trust somebody, and they trust you, and they know that you're not. One of the things I did when he came to see the Bachelorette. Well, he came to see the Bachelor Party first in 2003 or 4. Okay. And yeah, I remember because he brought Heavy D. Then he came to see the Bachelorette Party, and he brought like Dwayne Martin, I think, and his mom. And he said to me, Dawnn, what do you want to do with this? This is awesome. And I'm like, he said, I'm going to call you next week. So I was sitting where you're sitting, not on this sofa. It would have been really old and beat up by it. I don't want people to think I'm the same damn sofa I had 20 years.
Right.
Okay. It wasn't the same. I know people do that. They be trying to check you.
Exactly.
So anyway,
it's the
right. I was sitting there, and he called. He said, I'm going to call you Tuesday at 7:30. And Tuesday at 7:30 he called. And he said, and he started quoting lines from the play. He was like, how did you write that from that woman's perspective? And you nailed it in there. And then we talked about all that. And then he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I'd like for it to be a film. I'd like for it to tour. And he said, okay, let's talk about that. And he says, what can I do to help you? And I got quiet for a second, and I said, give me your name. And he got quiet on the line. I'm like, and he's like, okay. So
why was it important for you to get his name?
Well, because if it was going on tour, and I had his stamp of approval, it was not only going to open up more doors for me, but it was going to make sure that we sold out and that my first time on tour did well. And so I was allowed to have Dawnn B Welch Productions in association with Will Smith Presents.
Wow.
The Bachelorette Party. And
what did that do? What did that do for you?
It opened up. I mean, it was crazy. It just started, and also around that same time as he bought the film rights to the Bachelorette Party. And so I thought, okay, well, shit. This is going, and the lawyers got involved and the contracts were all signed. And I did like 6 national interviews with every magazine and about the, him buying the rights and everything. And I was still new to that whole thing, so I didn't know how it worked really. So after about a year and a half, I'm like, you made the movie. What's going on? So I remember said, well, give it time. This is a film. And then one time we were somewhere, and I said, hey, Will, I said, I haven't heard anything about the movie. He said, let me tell you what's going on. He said, I saw the play. I think it's great. I guess in a way he was overruled by the other partners because they were doing huge blockbuster type films, the big bang 'em up type thing. And this was a small, and they weren't doing that at the time. So, and I was thinking, well, shit, but you Will Smith but people have to understand, there's Will Smith, and then there's Overbrook Entertainment. And even though you own it, it's 2 separate entities. And you have advisors, and you have people saying this is the direction, that we should be going in, and you hire those people to do that. So it took me a while to understand that it was nothing personal, because he wanted me to make this film. He wanted it to happen at that time, and it just was not the right time. And I'll tell you how God works. Later on, when I got the deal for the Bachelor Party to make a film out of it, I remember him. He wrote me something. I think I have it. He wrote me something and said how proud he was that because I didn't take that the fact that Overbrook didn't do it. I didn't just say I'm packing up and going home. I was like, okay, well, let's keep moving. It brought me down a little bit because I didn't understand how this really works out here. I'm thinking I got the contract. It's all signed by everybody.
Right.
I got a check.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, of course it's going to be made. And then you find out that the workings of things. So it wasn't personal. And he felt bad about it. And he still was like, whatever we can do. Jada too. Family, that's my family. Yeah. But Will has always been there. So then there were times when I was like, well, look, I need some help to do this one now. And he was always there, never a no in 20-some years. Wow. And I thank God I'm in a position that I can do things on my own. But when you have somebody that that wants to see you succeed and win and make it, because they know you have this crazy talent, but you need something behind you, you find someone like his heart is so huge. Like it is so, people have no clue. They wonder if he's like that in real life as he comes across. Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Well, you had your first, scene on The Fresh Prince. Will Smith.
That was a disaster too. He tells everybody that it took 35. Every time you see him, if you ask him, he'll add more to the take. He said it took Dawnn like 35, 40 takes to get them 5 lines.
But you got it. Yeah. But you got it.
He never invited me back.
But now, this coming weekend, this coming Sunday, this is all culminated into, the Lost Cafe, which was originally
the Soul Cafe.
Soul Cafe is going to be premiering on TV1, starring Loretta, Devine, and Christian Keys. Talk about how that feels and what it's about.
Well, when I wrote that really for Loretta. When I write for Loretta, I write characters for Loretta that she hasn't played before. I see her as a chameleon. I see her totally different. A lot of her work, first of all, she's one of the most busiest actresses in Hollywood. I don't think anybody works more than Loretta Devine, especially African American. But a lot of times they'll say, oh, she played the mother, she can play the aunt, she can play. And I always said, no, she can play anything. So I wanted her to play this woman. I wrote this with her in mind. I always write with the different characters in mind. Of this woman who, despite being a size 2 and 35 years old, being a woman of a certain age, saying, I am still sexy, I am still businesswoman. I can do all the things. I'm always dressed fabulously and all that. I saw her as that, and I wrote it, and I said, and she's never not. Every role I've written for her, she's always said, "Wow, this is really great. That's awesome," and she's gone along for the ride. So when we decided to do the Soul Cafe, everybody was saying this can go further, but they always say that about my work, but they don't know how this really works out here. Okay. Getting projects greenlit and stuff like that. Because I've been close to so many of those type of things, and then something falls through or whatever. But she said, "Let's go." I called Christian and Kiki, and then the network was very happy. Because Loretta she doesn't do that kind of stuff. But Loretta is a Dawnn B Welch supporter, fan of my work, and one of my friends. And she will come on board when there's something challenging for her. But when she heard about offering me the deal for TV1, she was like, "Let's go get it." Yeah. And she was in the middle, as she always is, 3 or 4 projects, but she would come to rehearsal some nights and be like, "Woo!" But she would do it because she wants me also to succeed.
And how did they choose The Lost Cafe over all the 29 other plays that you've written?
Well, my shit was good.
Of course.
Oh, did I just cuss?
Yeah, it's up with it. Listen, internet. We're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that then. No. Well, first of all, Achnet, the production company, which comprised of Chuck West and Bree Baylor and a really, really dear friend of mine, they came on board, and they decided to say, "Let's call Dawnn and see what he has," and just the fact that they wanted to read the script. They love the script, and they said, let's do it. Let's see what we can do. So TV1 also read it and said, "Hey, can we get Loretta Devine?" So I knew that if Loretta was available, she was going to do it. And so I don't know what other scripts they were looking at. I was glad that they chose mine. So you want this type of support, and you get it, and then TV1 decides, "Hey, let's go for it." It was a learning experience for me too, because network has notes, and they want to change this and they want to change that, and you're like, that's not really, But I remember Will told me a long time ago, when you're writing for television, especially, you can't take things for personal when they write back and say, make some changes here and there, because it's a different situation than doing stage play per se, or even a film. So you have to adapt. You have to pick and choose your battles, and you have to be smart about it, Okay. And so, that's how that came about. And all of a sudden, we had just come off stage of doing it at the Wilshire E. Bell, and the next 2 days, we were going to be rehearsing to start filming. So it was all done like, whoa. And then TV1 said, "Oh, we've decided that it's going to be an Easter." So it was like, huh? Yeah. So but see, that's how God works. When you least expect it, that's how God works, and you have to understand it. And I give so much love to Brett Dismuke, who was the one who got me my 3 other deals with the film with 24 Hour Love, with Lynn Whitfield and all those folks, and the Bachelor Party, and the Divorce. That was all him. Because some things he had greenlit when he was in that position that I know a lot of people wouldn't have done, because they wouldn't have seen it the way he saw it. But Brett really loves my work, and when people got your back,
yes,
and all they want back in return is a thank you, and your success helps their success. That's all you need.
Well, you must attract it, because that kind of thing is rare, to run across. So there's got to be, like you talk about Will's big heart, Dawnn B Welch must have a big heart, because like energy attracts like energy. So these things are being attracted to you, not just because your work is good, but because of who you are.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate that the people like Loretta Devine, when I think I sat down one day and I thought about all the artists that have worked with me and have said yes, and have said yes more than one time. And it's Loretta Devine, Vanessa Bell Calloway, Dawnn Lewis, Essence Atkins, Kenny Lattimore, Ledisi, Marla Gibbs, Ginuwine, Freda Payne, I'm missing, so it's Jackee. There's so many, Tatiana Ali, that just like my work.
Yeah. Now, do you ever fear that your friendship will be jeopardized by working together?
I thought that about one artist, and I'm not going to say who it is, because I know her ass going to watch this video. I said, oh, and also, I forgot to say, my love also for Kelly Price. Kelly Price was another artist that came right on board. You know, there's been so many, but let me go back. But there was one artist that I thought, well, we're friends, and I don't know how this is going to work out, because now you got to still see me as director. Mm-hmm. And you know, so I wasn't sure, but it was nothing that we couldn't handle. And and our friendship is probably stronger because we also got a chance to see other sides of each other too. And that, you know, because when it's two headstrong people, you know, you have to still give a little bit. And also when you're working with several artists of different at one time, you got to kind of know how to deal with each personality. Right. Everybody's different. I remember one time I told Loretta about somebody. I said, "It's crazy." And Loretta said, "Aren't we all?" I'm like, yeah, I guess. So I didn't worry about. Some of my best friendships have come out of those working relationships. Kenny Lattimore, Ledisi, Vanessa. I mean, Vanessa's my sister. Yeah. So Dawnn too. It's like when we start talking about, you better say this one. There's so many people that have shown me love. But I tell you this, friends will come on board one time to help you out. Right. But when they come back, they're also saying, I like what you're doing. I like the stories you're telling. I like to be a part of this. And if I can make it work, I'm going to do it. So that's what, that it works like that, you know, and it's been a blessing.
Yeah, I just think that's, you know, amazing because you say so many of them are your friends. And I just wonder, you know. Yeah,
you think about it, but also I think you get me. This is how I am. So it's not like they come there all of a sudden as a surprise of, this person has changed into somebody else. Right. Now I'm still the same Donn B Welch, you know. Yeah. So it just works out that way.
Now I know when you started in your first play, Miss Lizzie's Royal Cafe.
Woo! And that's back. I was back there with Moses and a tablet.
Yeah, but hey, you know, everybody has their start. Yeah. And you were on stage and you said, you know, there was a moment that you stared into space and you said, you know what, I can do this. This guy wrote, he directed, he produced. I can do this. What was it about that moment that made you feel that you could do it too?
Well, I knew I started out as a singer doing nightclubs and things like that. And Adam Wade was the actor, as an African American actor and singer. And Adam Wade had like hits in the '60s. My mom would know about him. And he wrote and directed this play, and I was the lead male in it. And one night I was on stage at the dinner theater, and I thought, Adam wrote this, directed it, and produced it. I can do this. Yeah. And I went home and I wrote my very first play. And that same dinner theater bought the rights and it ran for 2 months. And then I was like, okay, so now let me go to the next level. Let me try to get an artist of some sort of a name. And that's when I got in contact with LaWanda Page, Aunt Esther.
Now, this is what I want to know about this situation. Because like you said, you knew, because, you know, you called to try to book and then you said, you know, okay, well, Della Reese and Helen Martin, because you I'm also considering for the role.
Didn't know Della Reese and Helen Martin from a can of paint at the time. But I was like, I got to do something to try to get LaWanda. Yeah. LaWanda was trying to tell the agent, well, I don't know. And I said, okay, I had read somewhere that, you know, she knew Della, and I knew that her and Helen were friends. I said, okay. So I said, well, that's okay. Tell Miss Page that we're going to be fine. If we don't have an answer by the end of the day, we're going to go with Della Reese. Baby, that phone rang like that. And she got that book, and we became really good friends. And
Did you ever tell her? Did you ever tell her?
And what she said to me, I will not say on this camera. Yeah. It started with an F, though. And the last part of it was you. So I don't know. It might have been friends, me and you. I don't know. But let me, and I actually moved. When I moved to LA, she said, you're not staying with nobody. You're staying with Williams, and you're going to stay with me. And I said, okay. And I lived with her until I found my own spot. And she didn't want me to leave. You know, she didn't want me to leave. And but she was I remember when she first came to Philly to do my play, she said to me, this is really good. And she said, I said, yeah, I'm so excited having you in this. And she said, there are going to be many more, much bigger than me, that's going to do your work. And at the time, you're thinking, who? You're like the biggest. I know. And she was right.
Yeah. Okay, from not casting anybody in a play, not even writing a play, to writing it and then booking somebody that you revere. What was that like when you had to go pick her up at the airport? And I mean, you never knew how to do this.
Well, I think Mary Wilson too, because I was a little kid. The Motown sound meant everything to me, and the sound of Philly. And I was crazy over the Jackson 5 and the Supremes. And Mary Wilson, I was always used to say, I'm going to marry Mary Wilson. And when I first hired Mary Wilson, I had to cut off being that fan saying, I got every album, I got every picture, you got it. And I had to be the director and the writer. And when we finished, that's when I became the fan. And so it's a surreal moment, but you've got to be able to turn it off and on and know when to do that. And these are women like LaWanda Page and Mary Wilson and Freda Payne back during that time when really nobody was kind of knowing who Dawnn B Welch was. We're just saying, okay, we're going to do it, and then we become friends. And because I think when I approached Freda Payne's agent, she called Mary Wilson and said, who is this guy in Philly? Says you did his show, and now he's offered me to come do a show. And Mary said, he's good people, you're going to get your money, he's going to treat you right, put you up good, and the shows are good.
Look how small the business is. Yeah. People make phone calls.
Yeah, I remember when I tried to get Niecy Nash a couple years ago. We went out to lunch, and I said to her, "Hey, I want you to consider taking one of these roles." And I said to her, "I know we've never worked together before." I said, "But you can call Loretta Devine. You can call." I named everybody, and she stopped. She said, "Stop." She said, "I don't have to call any of those people because most of the people that you're naming, I know them too, and." Your name has been nothing but good around what we hear. So I'm not worried. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it. Nice. She said, I don't need to call nobody. Wow. Now, we ain't never done it, but
the response.
Same thing was with Essence Atkins. Just said, let's go. And so when you have that kind of, you say, okay, I don't ever want to do, because one thing I had promised Will years ago when I first came out here, I said, I hope to never do anything to disrespect myself or your name or mine. I said, never. I said, because I knew that I was riding on people putting that association together. So, and I was treated really horribly in the business when I first started. So I always said I was not going to do the same thing to people. Yeah. That's why I fight so hard.
Have you kept your word?
Yes. Yes. I've always fought very hard for actors and people because I knew how hard it was to get on.
And what was it about, when nobody helped you and you kept hitting that brick wall? Like, what kept you going, and how did you deal with those moments when it really wasn't the next day that something was going to happen? It was the next year.
Put an S on that.
Years.
It was my passion and my faith, because I knew that God had given me something special, and that if I stopped doing it, then it would go to somebody else, because you have to use your gifts. And I didn't know when things were going to happen. It's still, I remember, I can tell you days when the only thing was in my checking account was the word checking. When you don't know when you're going to be able to pay the rent, or you're going to pay the phone, or you call up saying, can y'all hold that cell phone bill just a little longer? I'm trying to do, you don't know in this industry, but the passion and your faith, and when you know God doesn't make mistakes. I think if you're ready and you put in the work, it may not happen when you want it to happen, but he the old saying he might not come when
you want him, but he always comes on time.
And I believe that truly. So and then also, I probably would have been much larger in this industry had I did it everybody else's way that came to me. People don't know I was offered 4 record deals at one time. But they wanted me to be somebody else. And I remember I never wanted to. I remember one time I told Will I wasn't happy about writing something dealing with a TV show. And he said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do my own stuff. He was like, well, then let's do it. Yeah. So, you have to be happy about it. And now and also we think things should happen at a certain time that we think we're ready. Maybe you're ready talent-wise, but you're not ready for the other stuff that you have to deal with that comes along with that. But this is one of the toughest professions to ever be in. Anybody tell you differently, they are lying. You've got to have a certain type of stamina and just a willingness to make this happen. I tell my actors all the time, stop looking for a hand out and ask for a hand up.
And tell the difference in that.
The difference between a handout is that can I need this? I want this. No. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, Quencie, hey, Tam, I want this. Can you do this? I need you to do this. That's a handout. But when somebody says, listen, I'm on the way to making something happen, and I'm a little confused about the next level or the next step of advice. Can you help me? Here's where I am. Mm-hmm. Show the person the work that you're doing.
Right.
And then ask for a hand up. Most people will give that to you. Mm-hmm. It's the folks who want to sit around and just ask for handouts or get mad or jaded because the industry didn't treat me right. Well, what are you doing? What kind of work are you doing? What does your work ethic look like? Mm-hmm. What is it? Come on. Put in the time.
You know what? Another thing that you said that you did not like, that people who are, maybe musicians and wanting to be actors, or people who are in a reality show and then they want to, and people are so critical.
Yeah.
Give them a chance to grow.
Well, listen, I remember a couple of people I knew that were sports, that did sports in college, football, basketball, whatever, and then they were actors. They're actors now. And some of them would get mad when a rapper or somebody I said, well, what's the difference with your ass playing sports and deciding that you want to take acting classes and become an actor than that person over there who's singing an R&B song who decides they want to act? Get away from me. Miss me with all that. Yeah. Okay? Now, I'm not saying just throw anybody in something, but if I've done the work and you've done the work, I don't care about your past. Mm-hmm. I have nothing to do with that.
Why do you think people are so critical about that?
Well, because
so territorial.
Well, because it's a rough business anyway, and all of a sudden people want to put the blame on somebody else. Mm-hmm. The mirror is truth serum. Check yourself.
I love that.
Check yourself. Everybody want to blame. They went to so and so because. No, it went to so and so because it was their gig to get. Mm-hmm. Now you go get yours. I believe if you put the work and the effort into it, and somebody's going to turn around and say, "Let me help that person," because they're putting in the time and the work.
Biggest pet peeve about new actors?
Don't just say about new old ones too.
Okay.
Lateness. You want me to just ask for somebody to give me a cup of bleach so I can just drink it? You want me to slip my wrist? Lateness and excuses.
What do those things tell you about the other person?
That their work ethic is not good. I have actually had a couple of actors when people have seen them in my stuff and said, "Yo, she's amazing. He's amazing. Can you recommend?" I had to keep quiet. I'm not going to say, don't hire that person.
Yeah.
I just had to say, well, if you're asking me off record because we're cool like that, they have a lateness problem. And if you can deal with that, you're going to be all right because they're going to give you what you need. We have to be real careful. The industry has changed.
In what way?
Well, it's all about social media, how many followers you got. It used to be one time if you were acting or you were singing, you could just go get a record deal. They groomed you. They put you in this class and that class. Nobody checking you for that no more. Now they say, oh, she's a great actress. He's a great actor. How many followers do you have? How many Instagram followers? You know why? Because that translates into money. Viewers watching, buying. There's a reality star I'm not going to name who has done a couple movies and people are like, what? The bitch got 24 million followers. That translates into money. It doesn't make it right. But it just makes it the industry has changed. There's no more people bringing you on board in the studio and all of a sudden saying, let's groom you, put your no, it's like you got some talent, okay, cool. When we put money behind you to build you, who's gonna come and see you? I hate it. But that's the way it is, which is why I fight so hard for my actors who don't have that name yet. Yeah. If you hire if you get a Donn Welch project, I talk to the studio or people involved and say, okay, how many names do you need for your box? If they say we need 5 names to sell this, and there's 11 characters in the show, 6 of them people you don't know about, I'm bringing them on board. Yeah. Because they need an opportunity and a chance, and they're good, and nobody's giving them a chance. Because that's the way you have to. When you know your purpose, when God has let you in on who you really are, and you know your purpose, you know it's to pass it on. I've had 7 deaths in a year and a half, close deaths within our family and close friends. I didn't know what we were going to do as far as just making it through. Yeah. But when you know that God is in control and that you can lean on your faith you make it through. You make it through. You make it through. And a lot of people, which they don't wake up liking who they are. See, I wake up every day, no matter what has gone on the day before in my life, and I love who I am. Yeah. And I like Donn B. Welch. I like what my parents have instilled in me. I like who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm a good friend. I'm a good person. I'll cuss your ass out when that's needed. But I love who I am. That was instilled in me as a kid, when I was going around 7, 8, 9 years old, and I was telling my mom and my dad, I'm going to be the head of the youth fellowship at the church, and I'm going to be all that kind of stuff, because it was instilled in me to do, to be that person. My mom used to always say, there are two kinds of people in this world, leaders and followers. Mm-hmm. You be a leader. And my stepdad used to always say, stand on your own 2 feet, be a man. I used to be pissed off when he said that. I was like, but I know what it meant. So when I wake up and I look in the mirror, I like who I see. Mm-hmm. And if I like me and love me, I'm going to like you and love you too.
How do you deal when you come across people who you clearly don't like who they are? They act, high and mighty, and then you still have to continue, because it's such a small town, you still have to continue to deal with them on some certain kind of level. How do you do that? Let
me tell you one little quick story. When I came here in 2000, I remember Freda Payne took me to a party, and there were a lot of celebrities there, and she would introduce me. Oh, this is my friend Donn Welch. She's a writer and director. And some of the people would say, oh, film, television? And I said, no, theater. And they laughed. Well, this is a film and television town. Good luck. And I remember them walking away laughing. And I said to myself right then, I said, I'm going to make you respect theater, and you're going to work for me. They've worked for me. Sometimes you have to just sit back and rock a while. Mm-hmm. You can't let somebody tear you down. Yeah. And when I come across, there was another actress that I love really dear, we're really cool, we're close, that before, and this is cutthroat too, this is a cutthroat business. Yeah. Before she worked for me, some of her friends came to me and said, oh, you're gonna have a problem. She's gonna be a difficult, she's this and that. And these are other artists. And, I know she's been acting for a lot of years, but you're gonna have a problem. And I said, well, let me find that out. Mm-hmm. A joy to work with. See? That's why I don't listen to that mess. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's how you treat me. Yeah. Because I know how to walk away from a situation. Mm-hmm. Some people will, if they find out what you said, they'll just say, okay, I'm not going to deal with you no more. Yeah. Now I'm going to check you and then I'm going to walk away. Gotcha. I don't know how to say, I can't keep, I'm going to check you and then I'm going to walk away. Mm-hmm. So I remember thinking that happened to me a couple of times. I was like, and I wanted to go back and say to the actors, I want to say, you better check some of your friends, because they ain't really your friends. They trying to get your gig.
Because there's a lot of that goes along, in the business.
It's a lot of that. It's a lot of it. You have to be able to be also extremely versatile in how you respond to people. This is a tough business. Mm-hmm. And whether you're singing or acting or dancing or directing or modeling or whatever it is, mm-hmm. One week you can make $5,000, and the next month you make $5. One time you're on a hit show, and the next time nobody sees you anymore. Or you had a hit movie, and then some of these kids they're so despondent when they come here because they were stars in their hometown. Yeah. Oh, that's little Jenny, and Jenny was on the page of the newspaper. Yeah. And Jenny get here and see that there's 5,000 Jennies in line that look like Jenny. Or the dude that's at home named Bobo, and he done went to the gym 7 days a week, and he got an 8-pack, and he come in and say, wait till they get a load of me, and you stand in line, and there's 200 Bobos right there trying to get that same job, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this shit's real now. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is, that's why I try to be a positive force, because some of these kids have checked out because they couldn't deal. They couldn't deal, and there was nobody that said, it ain't that deep. It's going to be okay.
Well, what's the attitude they should have when they come here and they get that reality check of, there's a million of me here trying to do the exact same thing.
That 98% of the people don't make it. And you got to find out what the hell it is to get your ass to that 2%. And whatever that is, you got to say, what makes me different? And then also, Will used to say, don't come here chasing the money. You're never going to really, really be successful. But be willing. This is what I could. I'm in my own house. You get me some bleach. Because this right here, I can tell people, oh, I don't need classes because I'm a natural. And I would say, oh, okay. Oh, I don't do theater. I came out here to do television and film. I did theater at home. I said, see me in a year. I ran into a couple of them a year later. I said, hey, how's the films and TV coming? I did a short. I was going to hit you up. I was ready to do some plays. Now, I can do one or two things. I can say no or come on. Because I've had some folks that I've helped. And I've put them on the right track and they gave me the ass to kiss. This is real out here. Wow. But it's okay. Because you laying your head down at night, and I'm laying my head down at night, and we both know I helped you.
I just love all the advice that you give when you're doing your Facebook rants, right? Do people know they're talking about you? Do they feel like they're talking about?
Well, they probably.
Have you ever had anybody come after one?
Well, they probably. No, here's what you get. You'll get somebody to call you. They ain't called you in a while. Hey, I'm just calling to see how you doing. I'm like, I'm fine. Why are you calling me? I just want to have lunch. I'm like, oh shit, they probably don't. Well, here's the thing. I would never put anybody on blast by their name because you don't do that. You make it general enough that the person knows. And sometimes I'm talking to myself. Sometimes I'm really checking myself publicly because you have to. See, people say, oh, you're this, you're that, you're that. Listen. You love me today, you'll love somebody else tomorrow. Let's just do the work. I appreciate the love and the support I get, but it never goes to my head because I also know that it can be taken from you in a twinkling of an eye. It can be gone. Because like I say all the time, God is a just God, and that simply means that we are in control of nothing. Nothing. He is in control of everything. What you have to do is be a good steward and understand that you're put here for a purpose, and you've got to find out what that purpose is. Every day is not great in my life. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm feeling kind of bad today. That's just life. You have to go through it and keep going, and it's rough. This business is rough. It's difficult, mentally, physically, financially. I tell actors all the time, you better get you a damn job. Sitting home eating, top ramen and whatever it is, and got 20 roommates because I'm an actor. You better get you a job and keep your job until you're 8. I came out here and I worked for 4 years at a job I hated. On my feet every day I kept saying, this got to stop. I would leave my job and come right here, and Marla Gibbs and Jackee and all were sitting here waiting for me to get in where I was coming from for their scripts, waiting for rehearsal. I was leaving my job because I had to work. I like to eat. And I want my phone on. I'm an actor. Yeah, but you a broke ass actor,
right.
And you ain't eating. I tell actors that all the time. Keep a little job. Get a life policy. It's only a few dollars a month. What you need to understand is, God forbid, something happened to you. You got that on your family? Come on.
Well, I want to know what people can expect on Sunday when they sit down to watch The Lost Cafe.
The Lost Souls Cafe. I really hope. One of the things I didn't tell you, the story also came from the fact that I know a lot of artists who had hit records and they had maybe the Grammys or whatever, who are broke today because they thought the check was going to always be coming, and they didn't invest. The Soul Cafe deals with a fictitious character named Geneva, a woman that used to be in a very popular soul female group back in the 60s and 70s. When she retired, she decided to take the money and open up a business. So when she opened up the business, the Soul Cafe, there was an invest. And also it was a twofold. The story is about that and preserving something that we need to preserve. And that's R&B and soul classic music. Because you know what? I love all genres of film, of music, but we listen. Listen. When you speak about jazz, we're not all the ones sitting in the audience anymore, and it's our art form.
I am ready for the Dawnn B Welch lightning round. These are things unique to you, Dawnn. Irene Cara or Kathy Sledge. Pick one or the other.
I wanted to marry both.
I know.
Irene Cara, Kathy Sledge. I loved. I was at the Sparkle premiere. I was young, and I thought Irene Cara. Kathy Sledge. Well, I'll say Irene Cara. Know why? Because she's not married right now. Kathy is, and Kathy's been happily married to her husband Philip for many years. But
So Irene won that one.
But Kathy, she won because you already married.
Directing a Broadway play or singing in front of an orchestra at Carnegie
Hall. At Carnegie Hall?
Yeah.
Directing a Broadway play or singing at Carnegie Hall with an orchestra. Singing at Carnegie Hall with an orchestra, I don't even have to think about it. My night, oh yes. That to walk out there and the orchestra be there and me sing, come on, at Carnegie Hall?
Yes.
I wouldn't even be talking to you.
LA or Philly?
Well, LA because of my job. But Philly is always home.
Always home.
Yeah, it's always home. But LA because of my work.
Late nights or early mornings?
Man, am I by myself?
That's up to you.
Late nights or what?
Early mornings.
Do I prefer?
Yes.
If I'm by myself, early morning.
Early morning.
If I ain't by myself, late night.
Favorite Dawnn B Welch curse word?
I don't know if I curse. Favorite one?
Favorite.
Or the one I use the most?
The one that you use the most, the favorite one?
I'm quick to say simple, bitch, or shit. So let me think which one. I don't just say, it has to be simple, bitch. Or I just say, that's a simple bitch. Or I say, shit, that's a simple bitch. Let me think which one. Shit. Simple bitch. That has a ring to it. I've had to call.
I'm sure you did.
It's a simple bitch right there. And I didn't talk about a man or woman. Myself, that's a simple bitch.
Oh yeah, I can see you calling it's a unisex word.
Yeah.
Bachelorette Party, the book, or In My Sister's House?
In My Sister's House was better written because I got the gist of it. But the Bachelorette Party, because it was the first one.
Okay.
And to know that I was signed to Random House Publishers and how they found me was amazing.
TV sitcom or Grammy-winning album? Which one, if you had the choice?
At this age or right now? Right
yeah.
now, TV, what?
Sitcom.
Or Grammy Award-winning album? Grammy Award-winning album because I'm gonna have to hit TV. That's a no-brainer. That Grammy is the one I'm worried about. They ain't buying old people about me singing no more.
Opening for the OJs, Gladys Knight, and the Pips, or Stephanie Mills. When you did that, which one was the best experience for you?
I forgot the barge too.
Well, the barge opened for you.
That's right. You did doing your homework. I got a video clip of that. I walked on and said, "Wasn't the barge great? Give my hand." People like, "Who are you?" Gladys Knight.
Okay. All right. And finally, you say one word to describe these people. Your mom.
On one word?
One word.
Love.
Loretta Devine.
Treasure.
Ledisi.
Sister.
Harry Smith.
Harry Smith?
Yeah, I think it's Will's
Yes,
brother.
Harry Smith. Strong.
Will Smith.
Awesome.
LaWanda Page.
iconic.
Dawnn B Welch.
All them words.
Thank you, Dawnn.
Studio Q Show. Now you know.